You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it.
Sup, dough heads? It's your favorite host again. First officer. Oh, too soon? Not yet. I'm your host, Kevin, assisted by my lovely, beautiful wife.
The not so favorite host, Schmindy. Hey guys. Wow, you just keep leaving your Easter eggs for everybody, but they're not even Easter eggs. This is so dumb.
It's not dumb. It's superstition. Stop it.
This is so dumb.
Stop it. Anyways, so this is the greatest week in the entire world right now. Oshkosh is currently going on.
Heyo.
Kev is not there because Kev is training, but Schmin's there. So make sure if you guys are listening to this, go up and say hi. Go up, dough heads, and be like, "What's up, Schmin?" I don't know. Do you guys have any stickers or anything?
Oh gosh,
I didn't even.
I'm sure I will. Yeah, I have stuff that I can bring. I haven't even thought about it. I've been so freaking.
You're gonna have a busy Oshkosh.
I've been so busy with the flight school. So at Oshkosh, if you guys are there, maybe you're listening to on your flight into Oshkosh.
Right. Today's Wednesday, so it's the night air show.
Yes. You can find me in the Lone Mountain Aircraft booth and or the Cirrus booth. There's like a little pre-owned corner in the Cirrus booth. So I'll be bouncing back and forth between those. And then I'll be bouncing all around Oshkosh, meeting and connecting with new people and new vendors and trying to further my flight school business, North Georgia Aviation. So I have a lot on my plate this Oshkosh, and it'll be different for me. I used to work in a booth at prior Oshkoshes of my early career, working for Textron, sitting by an airplane all day, talking to whistling gophers. And then I had a few years off where I just got to go play at Oshkosh. And
You're saying you're back in the Whistling Gopher booth?
I'm back to the Whistling Gophers, but in a very different way. Now, instead of sitting by an airplane and showing them all, walk around of a plane, it's more connecting and networking and talking to my clients that I sell airplanes to or that I want to sell airplanes to, and now working on my flight school business. So
right. So most people you're going to connect to are not Whistling Gophers because they're coming up because they've already seen the price.
Right.
And you're not displaying any for sale airplanes this year, or are you?
I don't think
I asked
so.
a lot of questions that we should talk about before the pod.
No, it's fine. You can ask right now.
Anyways, speaking of your flight school, last episode we dropped the amazing news. How cool is that? My wife's a flight school owner.
Hey.
I'm married to my wife, so guess what? I'm a flight school owner.
Oh,
Hey.
now you want to claim me.
Anyways.
Now you want to claim me. Let's revert back to episode whatever where you didn't claim me as your wife and just threw me away to these other guys. Like, yeah, she's just my flight instructor.
That's a good little leeway in. So she's talking about on our trip from Vegas to North Georgia, our first stop, we stopped in Baleen, New Mexico, and the firefighters decided to pick up my wife. I got to tag along, and my quote to her and to you guys: shoot or shoot.
Shoot or shoot. Yeah.
So,
Kevin, you have a lot of confidence. You have so much confidence. There's a lot of men that would be so upset and jealous that other guys are hitting on their wife and really hate that. And I love your attitude. Ever since we were dating, when we were at bars in college and guys wanted to buy me drinks, you're like, great, I don't have to buy you a drink, but as long as you come back to me.
Get two.
Yeah, that's what you would say. Get two.
Get two. Here's the reality, man.
Get two.
One of our closest friends that we have a pretty good relationship now, he's one of the most attractive men on the face of the planet.
Oh, yeah.
So my thought here...
It's funny that I know exactly who you're talking about.
My thought here is if you're still going to come home while this guy is calling and we're talking to him every night and he's not about this, I'm just trying to prove a point. What am I that worried about? Honestly.
Right. We have to choose each other, and you are very confident I'm choosing you, and I love that for you.
You made your choice. I'm sorry.
You made your choice.
So anyways, back to our original story here about traveling. So we kind of talked about our first leg to Baleen. After that, it was overall, relatively smooth trip. No more firefighters trying to pick up my wife or anything like that. But Mojo has made that trek now to the West Coast and back to the East Coast.
Okay, that brings up a funny point. When we made it to Las Vegas from Florida to Las Vegas, oh my gosh, it was such a doozy when we made that trip. We got into so much weather. It was during February of last year, and we got weathered out for several days, thunderstorms, icing, you name it. And so our 3-day trip turned into a 7-day trip, and we fought to get there.
Right, and also flight planning. Like, we went the southern route. I'm not going to, don't take this advice, everybody listening, but like, for real, because the experience I got by flying in Vegas.
Well, other people live out west, Kevin. Our listeners are not all living in Florida.
You're right. Fair enough. So the West Coasters understand what I'm saying. You don't have to do the southern route to go west or eastbound. You can just go straight, because those mountains are just always big.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can't get over them. And it's not like there's outs. Like, when we did our trip out west, we were so concerned about the terrain.
Okay, but also it was February. We had to be concerned of icing and stuff.
Right. Well, we were still concerned of icing on this leg. I mean, anybody who flies out west knows that if there's clouds, there's icing.
But we had such good weather. My point I was getting to, we landed in Vegas and we looked at each other. We said, if we ever move back to the East Coast, we are selling this damn airplane, because we are never flying it across the country again. That was torturous. And if we move, and also, by the way, flying a plane across the country is different than flying a plane across the country while moving.
Right.
So let me point out that it is logistically hard to move your plane across the country, as at the same time, logistically, as moving all your house items. We ship our cars, and then you have to, with weight imbalance in small planes, you have to figure out, what do you want to pack in the plane to take with you for the next 2 to 3 weeks until your stuff shows up at your house, including all of your most important life documents, birth certificates, passports, your cash on hand, everything we put into this box that went in the back seat of our plane, and we carried it to our hotel room every night on our way. It's not like it's just packing a bag and we're going on this cross-country adventure. It is logistically challenging with the stuff you have to bring when you're moving.
Yeah, it's like, what do you need today and tomorrow?
Yeah.
And that's a really hard choice to make.
So anyway, we got to Vegas. We're like, we are never doing that again. That was so difficult. And we're like, if we ever move, we're selling the airplane. We'll buy something else on the other end. Obviously, we were just emotional at that time. We didn't sell our airplane, and we brought it back. And boy, was it freaking easy to fly back.
It was easy, but I'm going to get off topic for just a second.
How dare you?
I will say there was some serious conversations about getting rid of Mojo prior to the flight school acquisition.
Yeah, I was going to sell it.
And we were going to get something else.
Well, we were craving something more high performance and faster. I was like, I want to travel more for work. And I had this other business plan in the back of my head that when we moved, I was going to go full throttle on traveling more as part of my sales career, which isn't a requirement, but more of a desire. And I wanted to buy a Cirrus.
Right.
So I was like, how about we sell the plane while we're in Vegas? That way we don't have to fly across the country. And then when we get where we're going, I'm going to buy a Cirrus. But long story short, decided to buy the flight school before we moved. And
now we have 4 Cirruses.
Well, yes. Now we have access to 4. Yeah, I manage 4 Cirruses. And so, but also the East Coast is so much more of a better home for Mojo.
Right. So anyways, after Baleen, we went to Stevens County, which is in somewhere Texas.
I'll say, where is that? I don't even remember.
And I remember this was actually probably the most challenging leg, and you did the landing. That was ripping winds. It was swirling 20 to 30 knots every direction, and it was.
We had bad wind shear on final, like plus or minus 15 knots on final. Bad wind shear. It wasn't getting any better, but I fought our airplane to the ground, and we get to the fuel pump. I handed you the credit card, and my hand was shaking.
You were shaking, and then
It was, and I'm like, we're really underplaying the weather going in there. And we are used to flying in high winds from
Right.
Vegas. So it's not like it was just too windy. It was the wind shear and the swirliness, to be
swirliness.
technical.
I mean, what else you can
swirliness.
call it. Yeah, so like we just got a quick dip of fuel, and then I took over, and we kind of did a good briefing on what we're gonna do through the wind shear. And sure enough, we hit it, but we briefed it, so like everything was as planned, and we got out of there. And then,
So that was our day 2. We made that quick fuel stop, and then we went to Shreveport, Louisiana.
right, armpit. Well, I'm used to saying Ohio.
I was just about to say, I call Shreveport the armpit of America. You call Ohio the armpit of America.
Well, what did you say? Ohio's the asshole of America?
Kevin! Oh my gosh, our poor listeners.
Anyways, we made it to Shreveport downtown, and we did that stop on purpose because we had a couple extra days, and because of the lack of weather we were experiencing, we were light years ahead of schedule. So we could have easily made it to Georgia, but we wanted to see our buddy and, chill, have a nice, easy leg.
Our
there.
buddy, let me context because this is pretty cool. Our buddy has a sweet hangar apartment at Shreveport. So it was very convenient for us to land there and sleep right next to the airplane. That way, the next morning we got up and the plane was there. And oh, by the way, our buddy is Mr. Kevin Coleman, who is a extremely successful air show performer. You guys may have heard of him. He flies for Red Bull. He used to fly in the Red Bull air races. Now he flies in air shows all across the country. Has been a great friend of ours for a very long time.
We know he's definitely listening. That's why we said his name.
He would never, ever, ever
If he
ingest
did, he
any.
wouldn't tell you.
He would never
He would never
ingest
tell you.
any of my content ever because that's against his religion.
He's one of our closest friends.
It's against his religion to support me.
He hates
Just kidding. But
social media,
yeah.
even though he has a really cool social media.
So Mojo got to spend the night next to the Red Bull helicopter,
Which was dirty.
the one that flies upside down in air shows, and 2 Red Bull extras, and the Bonanza. So it was a sweet, sick hangar.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is this was right at the beginning of my flight school ownership endeavor. And Kevin Coleman also owns a flight school called Tubro Aviation in Shreveport. So if you guys live in that area, sorry. But second of all, if you do live in that area, you should learn to fly with him or get training there. They also have a really great maintenance department. But what was really neat about this whole journey of into this flight school thing and why people are like, why the hell did you do that? I have so many friends in this specific niche industry that have inspired me and proven concept and just really made me comfortable with the idea, knowing that I have people in my close circle that I could tap on. So Kevin Coleman, have him to tap on. We know Mike Goulian and his flight school, and he's offered a lot of support, which has been amazing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I missing anyone? 4 of my Lone Mountain coworkers own flight schools.
Large flight schools.
Very successful big flight
How large
schools.
they are.
And I'm just like, wow, like my circle of friends have deeply influenced me. And I'm so lucky to have people that I can just call and be like, hey, what do you think about this?
Right.
So anyway,
I love it. So after that nice little stop there, we made our final fuel stop in the middle of Alabama. It's M40. I don't even know what it's called.
just to grab a little splish splash of
Just a
fuel.
little splish splash. And then Monroe County. And then we finally made it back into Georgia. And lo and behold, when we get switched over to Atlanta Center, I already knew it was coming, but it was my old sector. So we get over, it was my leg, so I was talking and I was listening in and I knew who was talking on the radio. And it's one of my good buddies.
Don't say his name in case he got in trouble for this.
I'm not.
Keep it anonymous.
I'm not going to say his name. So anyways, he was busy ripping arrivals into Atlanta. And I go, is this whoever? And he goes, well, we have like 3 of those guys. And I, as soon as he said it, and then he goes, Kevin?
Kevin?
And at that point, the frequency lost utter control.
It switched from ultra professional, high-end air traffic control Atlanta Center
Busiest sector in the world.
to, bro, where you been? What stops did you make coming out here? Where are you gonna live? You're gonna be living on Lake Lanier? Can I come by? All of our buddies. It turned into a catching up with my old frat buddy conversation on the frequency.
For 40 minutes while he was taking a breath saying Delta Cross Shipper 13250 knots contact approach. But Kevin, so where was that first stop you said? How long did it take you? When can we come up on the boat next weekend? Delta contact approach.
I grabbed Kevin's wrist and I was like, I know this is fun for you, but we should not be having these conversations on frequency. We have some new careers ahead of us. Let's not get in trouble. And you kept trying to end the conversation with him like, yeah, man, call you when we're on the ground.
Yeah, I kept saying, I'll call you.
And he did not get the picture.
And then I finally said, hey, I said his name on frequency. I was like, you know that our tail number is recognizable. This is recognizable. Stop. And he didn't stop.
This is going to be on YouTube and it won't even be our post.
I think he texted me after. He's like, were you recording? I was like, even if I was.
Someone was.
I was like, we're not posting that. Because he didn't say anything bad, but it just was, well, he did say one thing funny about a trainee, but.
Okay. Yes, it was hilarious. So if you guys happen to have caught that when you guys were flying around Atlanta the day that we arrived.
Hilarious.
Apologize. And that was not our doing.
No. I just wanted to say hi.
It was just like hey, what's up? Call you when we land. We just moved back to Georgia. And he just was so excited.
He said something like, I would have bet my entire 401k and TSP pension that you guys would never move back to Georgia.
Yeah, we have a lot of retraction to do about the bad things we said about Georgia.
Anyways, that's our story. We made it back. Mojo did exceptional. The only thing that I think broke was the push to talk on the first officer side.
Yeah.
And that was it. Pretty awesome job.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We had a wonderful trip back. I was like, hey, okay, this wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Well, we had a tailwind. We only stopped 3 times for fuel.
Yeah. Freaking fantastic. So anyways, we did record all of those legs for YouTube, and with all my new free time, I will be editing it eventually and getting it up there. So stay tuned for that because we've got some really great videos of us coming out. There's a lot more stories to be had. But today we want to jump back into all of your stories more than ours. So as always, we are going to be reading anonymous stories right here on the show. And if you have a story, go to CaptainJohnDoe.com to submit your story to the show. It can be anything about aviation, a funny layover or stopover like our firefighter story in Balen, New Mexico, or it could be about your student pilot journey. I'm very into flight school and training stories right now, so keep hitting us up with those.
You flight school owners.
Follow us on social media, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and of course, as always, leave a review. It is so helpful for us. Kevin, hit him with the review.
5 stars only, naturally. Eric Wingman posted, Wednesday's my new favorite day.
Me too.
Been flight training and burnt out of the studying. This show reminds me why aviation is great. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Oh, it's true. I mean, this is kind of the show has turned into such a joy for us because we are so down the shitter right now. I'm just going to say that with our new careers that life is really difficult, especially regarding aviation. We are learning faster than we can even comprehend all these new things. And when we come to do this show and record this show and read your stories, it's truly a breath of fresh air.
You know what's really cool that happened just a second ago is my original trainer at Atlanta Center shot me a text literally an hour ago and told me he just came across our podcast and listened to the first couple episodes. He said, it's very fun. You're building quite the aviation empire.
That's so nice.
And like this guy I have not talked to in 5-6 years.
That's so nice.
And like, it's really cool that it's reaching everywhere. Like a controller that I worked with, like listening to this. I mean, this guy, I owe him my career.
People that I don't interact with a lot or haven't interacted with in a long time will randomly comment on something or send me a text, something about a dough head being a dough head, and I'm like, what? You listen? And it just makes my freaking day.
It's crazy how podcasts is where like we get like more. I mean, you've been in social media for so long, but it feels like this is like different.
It's so different. So for you guys to peek behind the curtain for a second, I have been a content creator for so many years now, and when I click publish on something, I get instant feedback, right? I get comments, I get likes, I get shares, whatever. I can visibly see that people are watching it. I can see the views. In podcast land, it's so different because we don't get comments, so we don't get that instant feedback. It just feels like we record this podcast, it goes out into the world, and we're like, well, I hope they're liking it.
I hope so.
And the only time we really get feedback is when we read the reviews, which really makes my day.
Which, by the way, we're over like 250 reviews now total.
Frick yeah.
So
and when people reach out to us, so when you guys even comment on my personal social media and say that you're a dough head or make a reference to an episode that's very specific, it cracks me up. It just makes me so happy. So keep reaching out to us. It really motivates us to keep going and keep doing this.
Did we forget to say that I think last episode was our year mark?
Was it?
Because this is the 50th.
Are you sure?
Wait, this is our 53rd episode.
No, but we're weekly. Oh yeah, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought we launched in whoa. We launched 3 or 4 episodes all at once in the beginning. I thought our 1 year was like beginning of August.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Oh boy.
Gosh, we're such great business owners.
Anyways, so as always, we're doing a monthly merch giveaway, which next week is our giveaway day. One winner is selected on the last Wednesday of each month. You can enter for free by following us on Instagram and engaging with our monthly giveaway posts, leaving a podcast review, sending a DM after you complete it as an extra entry. Click on the show name on Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom, add your rating, or on Spotify as well. We need to put that in there too.
Well, yeah, I didn't know how to do that, but people are figuring
we
it
have
out.
a lot of reviews on Spotify, and I'm getting to those guys. So if you've left it, don't worry. I'm not forgetting about that. I just want to read all the reviews. Anyways, open to U.S. residents 18 and older. Full rules are linked to our Instagram bio. I shouldn't have said it.
Finish it.
Comments.
Kyle
has been lighting us up. I think we ignited a monster, and I don't know if it's good or bad. You guys be the judge of it. Somebody let us know if you like or dislike, because if we dislike, we're going to do it even more because it sets them off.
Kyle is such an asshole to us, but I freaking love it.
What'd Kyle say this week?
I get fueled by the criticism.
Go for it.
Number 1, and this is pointed towards me. This is a Schmindy criticism.
Okay.
Don't pick on Kevin for practicing on the podcast. Doctors practice their whole careers. I wonder when they actually start doing instead of practicing.
That's a good point, Kyle. Thank you very much.
So someone stuck up for you.
That's
even
why
though
I call him every other day.
I am down your throat on these podcasts about how to hold the mic.
We only had 53 opportunities.
And that commas are not periods. Don't take a long breath at a comma.
It's been 28 years since I've been to English class.
I don't know that you ever went.
I did not.
You probably, I
have a degree.
I was about to say something really mean. I was going to say you probably have a Louisiana education.
That's what my dad always told me. My family's from Louisiana, by the way.
So we're allowed to say that.
Okay.
Number 2, please, you guys don't play hard. Softly, maybe. Because we said we work hard, play hard. I love how that one comment, he's like, no, you don't. Yes, we did, Kyle. We lived in Las Vegas and we spent a lot of money to play hard.
We played real hard.
Screw you, Kyle. Number 3, take a shot every time Mindy coaches Kevin about proper podcast technique on live air.
God, the same thing keeps coming up and up again, Kyle.
It's all about me. I'm hard on
me about doing a better job on the podcast.
Mindy constantly saying that Kevin, our favorite podcast host, doesn't know how to podcast.
Obviously, I do.
He says, we need more sound effects. The wheel spin is so anticlimactic without a fla-ta-ta-ta-ta sound.
We'll get to the production company and see what they say.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, my computer makes the fla-ta-ta-ta sound when we do the whiz wheel thing for the winner of the merch. My mic doesn't pick it up. So I guess I need
you need to.
I know what he's saying. That's so much more work, Kyle. Well, think about it.
There you go, saying you don't do a lot of work on the pod.
Wow, you had to ask the audience for support for Kyle's comments. I bet they hate it. They don't hate it because we love it, so they love it.
Yeah.
He says, and this is in quotes, and this is your quote, Kevin, I'm not keeping anything from anyone, including the dough heads. I'm just not saying anything. And I agree with him that it's really annoying that you won't just tell people what you're doing, even though you've told people.
I've said it. What are we talking about? We are past that point.
No, we're not. You haven't said the sentence.
What sentence?
I'm not going to make you say it right now.
I've said it.
You're superstitious.
I've said it.
Guys, I started dating Kevin in college when he was actively playing baseball.
Superstar. Be clear, I was a Capital One All-American. Hard flex.
No one cares. But
you see what I deal with?
When I started dating him, he was so superstitious. Do you guys have an athlete in your family or your circle, or were you an athlete that was superstitious? If so, it's probably about time that you start seeing a therapist.
If you guys see Mindy at Oshkosh, please remind her she's a cleat chaser.
BetterHelp.com.
Cleat chaser.
Gosh, do you guys know what cleat chasers are? Should we explain that?
It's what Mindy is. She chases athletes. Cleat chaser.
I have dated and married one athlete. Period. I don't know how that makes me a cleat chaser.
It just does.
Or if other people might call them jersey chasers. Not true.
Okay, moving on. All right, is that Kyle's comment?
Well, the last thing he says, I'm not prepared to do it. He says, I dare you guys to do a whole section of Kyle's comments, but with only using words that start with the K sound.
That's too much work, Kyle.
I'm going to need AI to make a script for me. And that wraps up Kyle's comments.
Thanks for joining. All right, Shaman, let's get in listener submitted stories. You're going to start first because I always go first.
Oh, am I first to bat?
And I'm on deck.
Oh, you almost wanted to hate my comment, but then you just jumped on it. Good for you. What a husband. Okay. My student had no clue what a cloud looked like. Twice. What? Gather around, good people of the podcast, and allow me to tell you about the student who was my biggest project and quite possibly the hardest sign-off of my flight instructor career.
Ooh.
To set the stage, I'm a weekend CFI with a non-aviation career during the week. I'm simply teaching for the love of the game. Because of that, I'm often paired with the weekend warrior types who progress through their training a little more slowly than the others. No problem there. My schedule is what it is, and I'm happy with my clients. I really enjoy teaching, meeting new people, helping people reach their goals, and getting paid to fly. We shall call this particular student Ron. Name changed for privacy. Ron was a doctor with his own big practice and a big ego to match. He was a nice guy, but he clearly thought very highly of himself. He occasionally worked with, and was a huge fan of, a big-time D1 college football team.
Oh.
Ding, ding, ding.
Cleat chaser.
He's a cleat chaser. This is a school you've definitely heard of. They've been in the playoffs multiple times in the last decade. Because we flew on Sunday mornings, I got to hear his breakdowns of college football Saturdays in great detail. No problems there. I went to a similarly big school and I'm a football fan too. But Ron talked like he was an angry coach. He thought that he was an integral part of the team and he credited himself with saving the school's football season one time because they were fumbling multiple times every game. So I called the coach and told him to have the ball carriers cover the ball with two hands when they got hit. The next game, that's exactly what they did. And they didn't fumble the rest of the season.
Good job, Ron.
Good job, Ron. He would also say things like, all the quarterback had to do was throw the ball 1 foot higher in the end zone, so only his wide receiver could get it. Oh yeah, Ron, that's all he had to do? Throw a ball with pinpoint accuracy to a moving target in the heat of a game in a stadium with 80,000 screaming fans and 11 meaty dudes trying to prevent you from doing exactly what you want to do? How dare he not execute that very specific task? In other areas of his life, his big ego probably worked for him. And flying, it seemed to manifest itself by not allowing the things I said to him to remain in his head for very long. I picked him up as a student after he had 30 hours or so of instruction from the owner of the flight school, but he hadn't flown in about 5 years. The owner assigned him to me because he, quote, didn't have the patience to teach him any longer. Flight by flight, I got Ron to progress towards solo in the trusty Skyhawk, but it seemed like I would tell him something 5 times over and over in a few flights, and the 6th time he would say, well, nobody's ever told me that before. Eventually, he got all the required knowledge in his head and was skilled enough in the airplane, and he soloed. We then moved on to the navigation phase of flight training, where the fun part of our story begins. We started building the typical skills. Pilotage. That's what Kevin calls it. Pilotage.
I'm glad you said it that way, because I was about to chime in.
And dead reckoning, VOR tracking, and the use of the classic Garmin 430 GPS installed in the airplane. He did reasonably well figuring out the nuts and bolts of this stuff, but putting it all together came at a bit of a slow pace due to his forgetfulness of key elements of the curriculum at critical junctures in flight. No matter, the work continued. One of these flights was a point-and-shoot flight to an airport about 25 minutes away with the goal of working on VFR flight following. We requested flight following on the ground, got airborne, and started talking to approach without hassle. We turned southeast to our destination, and that was when I saw impending dilemma. You see, we had requested a cruise altitude of 5,500 feet. The METARs and forecasts had all looked good, but I saw that there was a sneaky cloud layer sitting around what I guessed to be 4,500 feet. We very clearly, to me at least, were not going to be able to reach our requested cruising altitude. Students have to learn to figure these things out for themselves, and we had another minute and a half or so before we were going to reach the clouds. I stayed quiet for a little bit to see if Ron would do anything. He seemed oblivious to the situation ahead, even as the nondescript overcast started to fill our windscreen. As we crept closer, I casually asked, "So what do you see up ahead?" Ron asked, "What do you mean?" I said, "What does it look like ahead of us?" Ron took a look out, considered for a moment, and proclaimed, "It looks like a little mist." Technically, he wasn't wrong. Practically, couldn't have been further from the truth. Now, I'm a fan of letting my students see real-life scenarios play out for themselves if it's safe. We were on flight following, there wasn't any traffic in the area, and Ron had the opportunity to have an experience he wouldn't soon forget. And I could have a serious talk about the insidious nature of flying VFR into IMC after we got back to the school. I let him continue to see how it would play out. Sure enough, Ron started poking into the bottom of the clouds. All of our forward view and most of our downward view was gone when he correctly yelled, "We're in a cloud." He immediately ripped the throttle idle without adding carb heat. I quickly added it myself, and we descended out of the clouds. He figured out that we should probably cruise to our destination at 3,500 feet instead of 5,500. We told the controller that we were descending to main VFR, and we went on our way. We got back, we had the talk. I don't remember a lot of details from it, which means he must have not fought me on whatever I told him about VFR into IMC. I figured he would be sufficiently scared into keeping a close eye out for clouds from then on. To help prove the point, I showed him the video 178 seconds. For those who don't know, it's a short fable video about a VFR pilot who presses on into lowering ceilings, gets into IMC, and crashes. The title of the video is based on a study back in the day that demonstrated VFR pilots would lose control of the aircraft in an average of 178 seconds after inadvertently entering IMC. Ron watched the video and confidently said he should look at his attitude indicator and altitude and things like that as he watched this actor lose control of the airplane. I made it to a point to take him into IMC on an IFR flight plan at the next available opportunity. We soon had a day for it. He did reasonably well, but he still got the leans, and we started picking up carb ice at cruise power. I figured he would surely see those things and have a healthier respect for IMC. Respect gained or not, we continued onward with training. 4 months later, we were still working towards solo cross country. We were on another navigation flight to an airport to our southwest when another unthinkable sequence of events unfolded. We took off, got to 4,500 feet, completed the cruise checklist, and settled in. Immediately, I saw a problem 10 miles in front of us. There was an odd sloping cloud formation. The part nearest us well above our altitude, but the rest of the cloud sloped down towards the lakes beyond our destination. Very clearly, the sloping cloud obscured the horizon, and I could not see the airport at all. I kept my mouth shut and waited for Ron to make the call to divert. Minutes passed, and the problem gets more and more obvious. We couldn't see the horizon, which all my training had led me to believe was a critical thing to see when flying VFR. Again, it was a quiet day with no one around, so I left Ron to figure it out for himself. The closer we got, the more and more incredulous I was at Ron's lack of action. We were very clearly approaching this cloud bank. I could see the northeasternmost part of the cloud formation slipping above our head, and we were barreling towards the part of it that was at our altitude. I thought, he's really going to do it again, isn't he? Experience is the best teacher after all, so I let him continue. Sure enough, we enter the first wisps of the cloud. Ron again says, "We're in a cloud," and yoinked the throttle to idle. Again, carb heat was ignored, despite us being in the most visible of moisture conditions. Due to the slope of the cloud, we essentially were following the slope down, not really gaining or losing any ground. I suggested that we make a 180-degree turn to exit our situation, which Ron did, putting us back and clear and heading away from the clouds. As we settled at 3,500 feet heading home, I sat and pondered the question that begged to be asked. How do I explain to this fully grown, extremely successful man what a cloud looks like? I really sat there trying to figure out a way to explain this concept, particularly how to recognize when a cloud is at his altitude and he's going to run into it. I settled on, if the clouds are covering the horizon and you can't see it, you're going to run into it. Ron says, that's a good tip. Ron ended up doing a good enough job to get through his solo cross country and eventually his check ride. It took him over 200 hours total time to get there, but the DPE said he actually did a really nice job. That was a relief for sure, and I was glad to have gotten him through his license. The story doesn't end there, though. The school I work for is associated with a big aircraft manufacturer, and we have a regional sales rep. Word got back to the flight school owner that Ron had bad-mouthed us, me really, that we wouldn't sign him off and held him in training for way too long before sending him to his check ride. The flight school owner knew about Ron's penchant to not to maintain VFR cloud clearances and was 100% on my side about the whole thing. He was annoyed as I was about it, but Ron's ego couldn't allow him to not be the hero in his own story. A couple of years went by, and besides one or two texts about instrument training, I didn't hear from Ron. I knew he wanted to buy a 300-plus horsepower high-performance single, but I didn't hear if he bought it, got his instrument rating, or anything else about him until earlier this year. Or last year, if you read this in 2026. Then I got a text from a CFI buddy from another school saying that Ron asked him to safety pilot for him while he shot some VFR practice approaches for currency in his new airplane. He ended up getting both the plane and his instrument rating, apparently. I'm fairly confident my CFI friend did it for free, which wouldn't surprise me from either my generous buddy's habits or Ron's ego/hero standpoint. After the flight, my buddy said that Ron had a good handle on the airplane and flew pretty well. That was true, my buddy said, except for the fact that Ron knowingly and willingly flew through clouds on the approach structures that they flew despite operating in VFR. My buddy wasn't confident enough to say anything about it in the moment, and they weren't by any other aircraft, so he let it happen. In the end, I guess Ron never cared to learn his lesson about maintaining appropriate cloud clearances while VFR, and he's still illegally poking holes in clouds somewhere in the skies above. Side note for Kevin, oh my gosh, we're living in a sim.
Just keep going.
Side note for Kevin, I also played baseball, although my career ended after high school. I got the yips my freshman year, and it was absolutely awful. We were soft tossing from our knees with a partner about 10 feet away, and suddenly one of my throws spiked into the ground with a whole bunch of side spin, almost like I spiked a slider. Both my partner and I went, that was weird, and he tossed the ball back to me. The next throw was the same, and that's how 4 years of the yips started. Game type throws were fine when I could let it rip. The problem for me were the soft tosses and warm up or throwing the ball back to the pitcher after a pickoff at first base. I was able to work through it enough to make the freshman, JV, and varsity squads in high school, but I was never 100% cured of it, even to this day. I wouldn't wish the yips on anybody, and I was only in high school, not a D1 player with big money scholarship. I can't imagine the pressure and crushing disappointment you went through, Kevin, even though your life is freaking awesome now. Thank you for reading my story. If it doesn't make it to the podcast, I hope you enjoy it regardless. You both are awesome. My wife, also a pilot, absolutely loves Mindy, and it's awesome to see another husband-wife pilot couple crushing it out there. All the best to you two.
Wow.
Dude,
Wow.
we are totally living in a sim.
Gosh. Everything about that.
Okay, I just gotta say, I've only been in me owning a flight school for a couple of weeks. And does this not remind you of a scenario that's already came up in my school?
Of course.
Like, I almost thought, and perhaps, that one of my instructors wrote this in.
Yeah.
And I'm joking. I really don't think they did. But like, I have heard and seen a very similar story to this.
So
already.
this was a fantastic story. You had a lot of detail in here, and that's way too much for us to nitpick everything. But like overall, one, it sounds like you're an incredible instructor.
Yeah,
Right? You
and a lot of
really have
patience.
control over, teaching in your airplane and what you're comfortable with.
Kudos to you for teaching out there in Cirrus's.
Yeah, and
He didn't want to say it, but I'll say it.
Yeah,
This is a Cirrus school.
I'll
for
say this:
sure.
flying with these, I'm not going to put all successful men in the same category, but
I will. Just kidding.
But
Just kidding.
they're gonna have the egos, and like dealing with that and navigating that is really challenging. And that's what I did, and that's what you're doing right now at your school.
Well, that's flight
you
instructor.
fly Cirrus's.
That's flight instructor 101, right? And is learning different personalities, but it gets really tricky in that particular segment of students of people that don't understand that money can't buy your license.
Right.
And money can't buy you out of training. Money cannot buy you common sense. And honestly, common sense, I mean, a lot of it exists in aviation, but it's all new stuff. Like, humans were not meant to be barreling towards clouds. Like, it's a first time experience for everyone, the first time it comes to you. But I just think that some of these guys who have a lot of money, things may come easy to them because they have money. And this is the one thing where everyone is held to the same standards, which is why I love aviation, right?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, these doctors and lawyers are very, very successful. They know the blueprint and the footprint to be successful. But aviation does not follow that footprint of what made you into this wealthy business.
You're held to the same standards as the 18-year-old kid that's running in the airplane after you.
Right.
And you're held to the same training standards and the same rules and the same regulations. Like, when you have money, you don't have the same rules as someone in a different money class. You truly have different rules.
Right. The thing that I dislike, and I don't think my opinion on this is the norm, is he took him 200 hours to get his private. You, the instructor who wrote in, might have the same opinion as me, but a lot of people find that as the instructor's fault. I flew with pretty much every individual was like this. To be fair, I was lucky. None of the attitudes were like that. To this day, my students, all these wealthy businessmen text me, and they're probably listening to this podcast now. They're pretty awesome people, but like, it takes them longer because of the fact that they're running a business and they're not actually dedicating that
I
time.
was just about to say that 200 hours to get your license, I actually don't see that as a red flag because we don't know his story. It sounds like he had been working on it for years, just working like every other Saturday on it. That will take you 200 hours if
Right.
you're not consistently showing up to school.
A lot of people say if you're not soloed by 50 hours, you need to fire your instructor. But you need to tell
But
me.
what's the story? Is that someone that's showing up and going to school full time?
Right.
Or are they someone who has flown 2 Saturdays a month every month?
Right. No, like that's why my opinion is the hours it takes is not even a topic of conversation.
It gives good context. This was an incredibly well written story to the point where a lot of the things I wanted to debrief, the writer already debriefed it.
Yeah, like number one, take for all of you instructors out there, take your private students in the clouds on an IFR flight plan. You've
Just
done
like
that.
you did.
We literally had this conversation with our instructors the other day. Like, if there's a overcast layer at 1,500 feet, but it's clear above, we need to give these guys that experience.
Great experience.
In a really controlled environment.
Yes.
Like that's what I'm saying. I don't have any debrief items because you debriefed yourself, which is awesome. The only thing I can say is the ending part.
I was about to say, but you won't help but to not debrief the end of the baseball player. I cannot believe that we had the intro talking about baseball player stuff and that this story was here. We've already said this, and Kyle's gonna hate that I say this, that we don't read the stories ahead of time because we want to be just as surprised as you guys are. And we truly did not know that there was any baseball lingo at the end of here.
No, I say when you're reading it brought back some chills. But like in all honesty, sitting here today, I don't even think about that time of my life, which is crazy because so many things have happened. So many positive things have happened since I was this top recruit who had the biggest scholarship on the team and couldn't throw the freaking baseball 2 feet in front of me.
I mean,
and it was really tough. There's no question.
But how lucky and fortunate are you that, so everyone goes through hardships and failures, and how lucky that you had yours so young and it was all like, it made you who you are and drove a lot of good character traits for you. Oh, some other people don't have their difficult time in life until much later. Like my hardest year in my life was last year.
Right. And I'm also not immune to saying that was the hardest year of my life. Like like baseball, I was a Division I athlete. Like, but in the moment, yeah, it was. No, that's all I knew.
But that's right. Perspective is everything, and that probably was the hardest year of your life. That was the hardest thing, and I know our perspective on problems are different now that we're adults. I'm putting in quotes. But everyone's in different, phases of life, and it doesn't matter. Everyone's problems are problems, and we all have the same levels of anxiety and disappointment to failures, whether it's burning the bacon yesterday or losing your scholarship or having a really tough job or something. Like it's kind of all the same.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into this, but losing my scholarship got me where I am and got you and everything else, which is, we've talked about it last episode that we digest a lot of successful entrepreneur stuff, and they all say that you're going to go through a hardship and then you're going to be better because of it. And if you keep coming out swinging and you keep pushing forward, you're going to find success just like you did. You could have quit baseball entirely when you lost your scholarship, but instead you transferred schools, you tucked your tail between your legs, and you're like, you know what? I love this sport and I know I can do it and I'm going to continue on. And that took a lot of guts. And that applies to anything, any failure you go through. Like if you're having a tough career in aviation, you could easily quit and go find a lucrative career somewhere else. But if you choose to stay in it, you will find success. No, it's right. And it has shaped me. Like I'm in training right now and I have a really large class. And there's a lot of young kids in there and they have all these like wandering thoughts about are they going to make it or not. And I'm really crystal clear. Like you don't have a choice. Like you either do or you don't. And I've had a lot of experience in that. And like this stupid Yip story is one of them. You do or you don't. And I'm just going to do. Like, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to work hard. Preparation is everything. Like, I'm not a TED talker here, but putting in every ounce of your effort into preparing is going to help. And that's what I did back then. You know, I couldn't throw the damn baseball 2 feet. You know what I did? I figured out how to hit the ball really, really far. And I ended up freaking getting drafted because of it.
Pivot. Yes. Find other things that you're good at in that same
Couldn't throw a
niche.
strike, but I could hit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the key to life, right? Is pivoting and getting back up on your feet and moving forward. So you're right. I mean, failures make you who you are. It just really sucks when you're going through it. There's no way around it.
Well, I love that story.
Thank you for writing that in. That was a wonderfully written story.
All right. I'm going to share the last story for the day. Motion sickness over Mississippi.
I love that title.
Hi, Kevin and Mindy. Great job on the podcast. I enjoy listening to it greatly on my drive to work and back each week. I'm currently a Boeing 737 captain for one of the world's most loved airlines. And he's spelled loved L-U-V for those of you who can guess
I love you guys.
what airline this is. All the stories about puke and poop reminded me of many experiences in my past as a pilot. While I've been thrown up several times in the airplane, this story is my most memorable. I was a T-37 instructor pilot for the U.S. Air Force in Columbus, Mississippi. These people are awesome. The T-37 was a Jurassic jet of an older age. It was hot, cramped, unpressurized, and very loud, both inside and outside the aircraft. Even though it had only a 6.6 positive G limit, it had the highest G onset rate of any aircraft in the Air Force at the time. It was not uncommon for student pilots to get airsick early in training, particularly in the hot and humid Mississippi summertime, with parachute, helmet, oxygen mask, gloves, all while strapped into the ejection seat. Most students that did get airsick usually only had it a flight or two. However, if the student continued to get airsick after their 7th flight, or so they failed to ride. 3 failed rides in a row, and it was off to the commander's review for elimination from pilot training. I never got airsick during that time I flew with the Air Force, but I had empathy for the students that got sick, especially the ones that wanted to fly so bad they went to the extremes. The policy was, if the student got sick on the ride, it was an automatic unsat after the 7th ride. Personally, I told my students, if I don't see it, it didn't happen. It's lots of motivation for the student that would throw up in their own mask and eat their puke so they didn't unsat the ride.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't fail someone that motivated. Anyway, to the event. Lieutenant, we'll call him Chuck, had gotten sick on every ride so far in training. He was put on special monitoring status. This meant he was only allowed to fly 1 flight per day and only allowed to fly with certain instructor pilots. He also go to the flight surgeon, who put him on a special diet and gave charcoal pills to take before flying. They'll reappear later in the story. The flight doc also told him to put ice packs in his chest flight suit pockets while flying. It was a sight to behold in the Mississippi summer heat. He looked like a well-endowed, lactating woman when the ice melted through his flight suit.
Oh, my goodness.
He also had to go aerospace physiology and spin in the Barony chair every day. Oh, my God. Off we launched into the Mississippi sky. Lieutenant Chuck was actually doing well. We completed traffic patterns and then went to the practice area. We did stalls, slow flight, and some basic aerobatics. I remember thinking, as we came out of the loop, this guy's getting it. Wait! Too fast. About this time, I see Lieutenant Chuck grab for his oxygen mask with both hands. I think, well, I guess I'm flying now, and took the controls in one motion. Lieutenant Chuck took off his mask from right to left, and his head turned right, and a volley of grayish charcoal mixed with his breakfast launched onto me across my lap. I'm in disbelief. But before that thought crosses my mind, a second volley of gray sticky puke launches across my chest. I think, what the heck? And look over at him. Bad choice on my part, because then he launches with great fury, round 3 splattering on my helmet visor. The final and 4th round unbelievably launches and takes out my mirror on the canopy bow above and right of my head.
What?
At this point, shock turns to anger on my part. I immediately turn my oxygen regulator to 100%, turn off my intercom, and roll the aircraft into a left knife edge turn. I start slinging the gray sticky puke back at him with gravity helping me in the knife edge turn. After this, I turn the aircraft back towards base and cancel high-forward approach controller. 300 knots direct to the VFR pattern engine. At one point, I see him looking at me, and it seems like he's trying to communicate. I turn the intercom back on and say, dude, I'm not talking to you, and turn the intercom back off. I enter the overhead pattern at 300 knots, do a 6G brake turn to the downwind and land. I taxi in safe and pull into the chocks and shut down. I get unstrapped and tell Lieutenant Chuck to clean up the plane, and I'll see you sometime later today. I got back to the squadron flight gear shop and said, hey, I'm going to need a new parachute, a new helmet visor, new gloves, and heck, I stripped out of my flight suit and said a new suit. I walked in the squadron area in just my t-shirt, shorts, and flight boots. I went straight to the flight room and said, tell the boss I'll be back later to fly with my next student. I drove home. My wife was shocked I was home so early and not wearing my suit. She said, what happened? I said, tell you later, and went straight to a long hot shower. I returned to the squadron later and flew with another student after I debriefed Lieutenant Chuck and let him know, here's your unsat.
Oh, no. That sounds awful.
All I'm thinking is I've never heard of them doing a maneuver like that to sling puke back at your flying partner.
Hilarious that this writer just saw red. It was like, F you. I'm going to use G-forces to push the puke back in this guy's face.
Well, it sounds like he was sticking up for him, and then all of a sudden, he shot 4 projectile vomits at him.
Well, that's where you draw the line.
You draw the line after his 4th one, right? Because, okay, the first one, he was probably like, oh, man, he didn't get to it quick enough. But vomit 2, 3, and 4 should really be going into your own flight suit or your own mask, your own barf bag. It should not be splattered across the cockpit. Like, you know you're puking now. Time to fix it. That's disgusting. This is amazing.
He said the 4th one, didn't he say the 4th one took out his mirror? Yeah. Like, that's how powerful it was? That's really...
Well, he's got a little bit of G's going in, a little bit of science working towards him.
And then the fact that he turned the intercom off, it was like, screw you. I'm not even talking to you.
We're going to rip 300 knots into the pattern. I'm landing, and I'm not going to see you
with
ever.
6G load going in. Like, boom. I'm going to make your last flight hurt.
Yeah.
That's freaking hilarious and terrible at the same time. That's so bad.
Another puke story in the book.
But can I just go back to one sentence that I am going to have nightmares about?
Yes.
Hold on, I have to find it. Okay, so he says, personally, I told my students if I don't see it, it didn't happen, that they were really motivated. He said, It's lots of motivation from a student that would throw up in their own mask and eat their puke so they didn't unsat the ride. We can't just glaze past that sentence. I'm gonna puke.
It's making me a little queasy thinking about
the last episode when someone talked about chewing on a Zin, I was feeling it come up a little, and now this episode where he said students would, I can't even say it again.
But that's a good point though. If you're willing to eat your puke, you're willing to fight for this country.
I am never gonna forget that sentence.
Eat your puke.
That's disgusting. But I mean, to his point, that's
Listen, they're eating their puke to get through.
Okay, we can't say it again. We can't say that again. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't glaze over that. But you know what? That's really that would be so annoying if you were a student pilot and you had what it takes and you were smart and you were studying and you can't control your body of puking, because like that's like something that people can't control. It's not like they want to puke.
Yeah, I don't know how to comment on this because I've never been in this situation, so I don't know why somebody might not be able to hold it in.
Well, I get it. Like he said, they're in Mississippi. It's hot. You're in a flight school. You're in a flight suit, and you got a mask on. You got a helmet on. You're pulling G's. You're upside down. Like, that is a lot for anyone. But I mean, to make the cut in the Air Force, like, that's the type of shit you do.
Yeah.
So it's either your body can take it or you can't. But that's a hell of a way to like lose your pilot dream. It's like you couldn't stop.
I mean, it's to the point where they have metrics for it. You get 7 rides to hold your puke in, and then you're done.
That would be such a sad way to.
Clearly a common occurrence.
Yeah, I mean, this is like getting the yips at a D1 school. You can't control your body, and you're like, man, I have what it takes, and I can't. My body's not.
Oh, there's no pivoting.
Cooperating.
In the Air Force, so you're going to dispatch after that.
Right. Yeah, that really sucks. Great story, though. That's disgusting. Thank you for all of the visuals on that. And we love you, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's all we have time for today. We do have some more people submitting in advice, so we will be getting to that probably on the next episode. But for now, we're going to leave you with the lovely visual of people eating their puke. And that's it. I had to say it one more time.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.